civil society has been actively fighting for political and socio-economic rights since the colonial times. In this video, we trace the history of organized civil society in Nigeria and the emergence of contemporary civil society organizations. Let's take a walk down memory lane and start from the pre-independence era, pre-independence and colonial period. The oppressive conditions brought on by colonial rule triggered organized political agitation in Nigeria, leading to the growth of labor, professional and student organizations such as the Nigerian Youth Movement, the Nigerian Union of Students, and the Railway Workers Union. These unions, along with other associations, fostered Nigeria's nationalist movement and laid the foundation for the pro-democracy struggle. Exploitative colonial policies like increased taxation on men and women nurtured resistance and activism such as the Aba Women Riot of 1929, where women from the southeastern region of Nigeria vehemently resisted tax imposition on women. Similar exploitative taxation on women also triggered the Abeokuta Women's Revolt, also called the Egba Women Tax Riot, which were a series of non-violent mass protests that occurred between 1947 and 1949 and caused the Alake of Egbaland to abdicate his throne. Independence era and First Republic. The immediate post-independence period was characterized by independence, euphoria, and the growth of political activity. Associations that existed before independence, such as the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, which consisted of cultural trade associations, as well as cultural associations like the Egbe Omo Oduduwa and the Jamia Mutanen Arewa, metamorphosed into political parties to contest elections. During the first civilian administration between 1960 and 1966, labor unions, student associations, and the media maintained a strong public presence. Unfortunately, the euphoria of independence was short-lived with the advent of the Civil War in 1967. The Civil War era. During the Nigerian Civil War, which took place between 1967 and 1970, religious groups and international humanitarian NGOs such as the World Council of Churches, International Committee of the Red Cross, and the Joint Church Aid Mission, made up of organizations such as the Catholic Relief Service, were active in providing reliefs to victims displaced by the war. Post-Civil War and military rule. The country was governed by the military between 1966 and 1979 and between 1983 and 1999. The military regimes were dictatorial and anti-civil society, with military rulers often suspending the constitution. Interestingly, successive military regimes often introduced political transition programs while manipulating and restricting the activities of civil society and political parties. While these programs were often dubious and cloaked with a hidden agenda of perpetuating their regime, civil society's tenacity under the military era led to its final ouster in the late 90s. Second Republic. The Second Republic covered the years 1979 to 1983. It was a civilian regime marked by economic decline, fall in oil prices, external debt, corruption, and the infamous 1983 general elections that remains notable in the history books for its violent aftermath. It also saw the resurgence of civic and political activism and some considerable wins, like the establishment of a structured minimum wage for workers following tensions between organized labor union and politicians, and a massive workers' strike mobilized by the Nigerian Labour Congress. The Second Republic also witnessed the growth and increased visibility of women NGOs, especially the emergence in 1983 of the Women in Nigeria, a strong feminist movement at the forefront of gender equality. It was during this period that the right to vote was achieved for every Nigerian woman. Before then, only women from the southern region could vote. Unfortunately, the Second Republic was short-lived and collapsed following a military coup. The arbitrary activities of the military regime set the stage for the emergence of human rights NGOs in Nigeria. Post-Second Republic 1980s and 90s. This period included the military regimes of General Muhammadu Buhari, General Ibrahim Babangida, and General Sani Abacha. It was in the 1980s that human rights and pro-democracy groups like the Civil Liberties Organization, Constitutional Rights Project, Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, Campaign for Democracy, National Democratic Coalition entered the scene. These groups complemented the struggles of students, workers, market women, and professionals, including the Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerian Labour Congress, and National Association of Nigerian Students, to demand democracy, accountability, human rights, and social justice. Plans initiated by General Ibrahim Babangida to hold elections and return the country to civilian rule would have established the Third Republic in 1993. However, this was short-lived and unsuccessful, as his annulment of the June 12, 1993 elections triggered a wave of riots and violent protests in the southwestern part of the country. Prominent activists like Dr. Beko Rantom Kuti, Chief Gani Fawemi, and Femi Falana were arrested and detained following the protests. Human Rights Watch reports from 1993 revealed that over 200 activists were arrested all over the country following the protests. Some others were killed by security forces quelling the riot. The ensuing political unrest paved way for the emergence of General Sani Abacha. The 1990s under the General Sani Abacha regime was a particularly brutal period for civil society. For example, in 1995, a particularly horrible year for human rights environmental activist Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others were executed by the regime. Also, the former head of state, General Olusegun Obasanjo, was sentenced to death, along with many others, on unverified allegation of a coup plot. It took a worldwide campaign for the imposed death sentences to be commuted to jail terms. The massive abuse of human rights during the military era forced many citizen groups and associations which had previously existed for purely community and professional reasons to gravitate towards a strong human rights agenda.